Hey everyone, it's the new Civil War reenactor coming back to you. It's been a while since I've released a new video. I thought I'd share with you some major changes I'm making to my impression and opinions I picked up in doing the hobby over the past 7 events. First of all, I'm pleased to say that I have my new Wamba and white jacket, new pants, or trousers I should say, and so I'm slowly upgrading my impression from a look standpoint. But I've got 8 items to talk to you guys about today, so I'll start with that. First one is musket care. So one thing I've learned in doing the hobby here is that, misfires are oftentimes a result of not what I thought. I think a lot of times I blame it on, the amount of powder or, maybe something I did wrong in the actual process of cleaning, but I really don't think it's that. I think it's over lubricating the barrel. The Lorenz, like the Springfield, has a smaller cone and has an issue where the feed is not as clean as like the 1853 Enfield. So you will get misfires. But one thing I've noticed in the last event is that instead of cleaning it the night before and using Ballistol up and down the barrel, I instead cleaned it like 4 or 5 days prior and would just use dry patches to clean it. So you're gonna pass inspection just fine if you do that. So don't worry about like having to use oil. I think in my paranoia to like make sure it's sparkling clean, I was over lubricating it. And another thing you can do is use compressed air, which you can just buy on Amazon. They make it for guns even specifically, which is probably a hoax, but you can just spray compressed air directly down the barrel and blow everything out. So in addition to dry patches, I'd recommend that. I have this as a reminder for coffee. Self-admittedly, last time I talked about green coffee beans not being good in my video, I realized I did not roast them, which is a fundamental error. So if you get green coffee beans, you need to put them in a frying pan. You need to cook them up before you actually boil them, break them apart and everything else. Just keep that in mind. But I am going to use this and probably put these in poke bags next time, just because for me, I have a coffee addiction. I don't want to take 45 minutes to make a cup of coffee. Even if it's a campaign event, if I have them in a bag in powder format, people aren't really going to be able to tell. So I guess that's my one kind of cheating thing that I will be doing. I did finally get those can covers in, so I just want to show you guys what that looks like. These covers are actually replicated off of a ship that went down in the Civil War. There's a lot of them. There's one that says tomatoes on it. I'll be using that and putting modern tomatoes, but using those covers. So that's kind of a nice piece I want to share with you. I have this out as a reminder. This is my, obviously my tin cup that I use. I've oftentimes hung it on my back of my haversack as such, which is very historically accurate. The troops did that quite a bit, save space from inside their haversack. The one challenge with that for me though is I have a metal tin canteen that it bangs against this. Even if I adjust the different height on the canteen, it seems to make a lot of clinking around noise. So especially in some of our events where we want to be sneaking up on the Union, I don't really want that effect. So I've started carrying it inside, which is really not a problem, because if you put rice and other items inside of it, it's really not taking up a lot of space. And that also brings me to another point about space and really items. Some of the items I had in my last food recommendations, I'm definitely changing. First of all, having hardtack isn't even accurate for the South. So I'm going to get rid of that part of the impression. So more rice is going to be in there. I'm going to get some just, corn that I can kind of keep it in its original format, and I can shuck it there, maybe cut it in half with a knife and boil up, some corn that's realistic. Again, apples are great. I might get away from the dry cured bacon, because I'd like to get more into pork, which is more realistic. The salt curing process or desalting is not easy, so I'm going to have to figure out how to best do that. But it's more of a transition into more realistic. Again, I think the whole idea behind this hobby is realism, giving honor to the people that went through the event, and then finally just making it enjoyable. And when I say enjoyable, I've also realized that going too hardcore on the campaigning doesn't really make it enjoyable. So maybe having, a piece of cornbread or a piece of bread, albeit maybe wasn't realistic every single day. Occasionally they were given those items, and they might have also found them in town. So I think it's okay if you have a piece of bread in your haversack, something that you could eat, versus versus hardtack, which is something you're gonna have to like cook or break up, and it's really hard to eat. The other thing I would just say, just a quick tidbit on this, and I'll be done with my video, is just resetting expectations. I think I came into the hobby of like thinking everybody had the same mindset that I did, which is authenticity. And, you know, some people are, everybody's out there for different reasons. Sometimes it's the camaraderie. Sometimes it's trying to be historically accurate. Sometimes it's trying to be accurate, but only based upon what they've learned from other reenactors. And so one thing I've learned is even like basic military commands, like, you know, face right, face left. Sometimes you'll have officers that will do it wrong, and you know it's wrong because you just went through drill practice right before, but they weren't there at the last event. Or maybe, you know, maybe they don't know the proper amount of distance a soldier is supposed to be between somebody else. And that's not to say that I know everything. I know very little. I'm still learning quite a bit, especially on the military drill side. But my point is that if you get too hung up or frustrated from, actually, I know I'm right because I read it in a book, then you can kind of get frustrated. So I think it's good to come in with a mindset of like, hey, I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm going to learn. I'm going to continue to research and be best in my impression. But I'm also not going to get too upset by inaccuracies, because you will find inaccuracies and people that are very prideful and being inaccurate. And you just have to learn to best deal with that. So anyway, just my 2 cents. I wish somebody would have kind of, I guess, maybe mentally prepared me for that aspect a little bit more. The other one is, you know, sometimes you might have musket issues. You might have other issues. Just have fun with it. You're out there. Everybody has these issues. You'll get through it. You'll get you'll get your musket fixed, or maybe you'll just get a new musket the next event. But you know, it'll all work out. So anyway, hopefully everybody's having a good time. I just want to share that. I've got 2 events coming up. One's more of a mainstream event. One's a living quarters event, replicating the winter quarters for the South. So I'll have more info to maybe share with you guys in the future after I get through those. Take care, everyone.